Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Tides of Death. Are you guys ready for some unusual gameplay?
Always.
Yes.
That's what I come here
Yes.
for.
Excited.
Yes, these are the answers. So, today, my dear friends, you are going to be playing the holy, the righteous, the defenders of all that are good and of the faith. You will be playing as agents of the White Prince. And not just any agents, you are going to be taking on the roles of Lady Goldmane, the Inquisitor on Port Prince, as well as Arknoster, the 8th level wizard who lives on Port Prince, and the Bishop of Port Prince, the highest ranking cleric in the area. The three of you are going to be working together to help ferret out the Crimson Fists and find out as much information about them as you can so that you can report it to your higher ups and bring these filthy, degenerate pirates to bay, to justice, to, you got to find them so you can track them down and hunt them out and smoke them out and kill them. How are we feeling about this? You guys ready to play the enemy?
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
What do you mean the enemy? We're the good guys.
Yes, you get to play the good guys. So, we've got a paladin, a wizard, and a cleric, which is not unlike your actual composition. So, who wants what? And I will assign you some character sheets, which will give you just a little glimpse into the background of our enemies.
I'll take whatever. I can roll for it. You guys want?
It's paladin, wizard, and
Cleric.
Cleric.
let's all roll for it. No.
Yeah,
I would just like not cleric.
not
Would
cleric.
be
Okay,
ideal
Okay.
for me.
great.
Okay.
So why don't you roll a D2 on a 1, you're the wizard. On a 2, you're the paladin. You are the wizard. You are Arknoster. Now, if you remember, we've actually run into Arknoster the last time you were in Port Prince. Arknoster cast a fear spell on everybody, and everyone was affected except for Archie. And Arknoster then offered you a job because you were able to overcome his fear spell, and then that's how you met those rogues who also saw all that jazz go down. So you are going to be Arknoster right here. This dude.
Sweet.
You should have access to the character sheet and all of the spells. Cool. Have fun.
Yes. I do
Uh,
like how he's underneath the category civilized, which kind of implies that we are not civilized.
The PCs get their own category. They are beyond civilization.
Fair.
Next players, Archie and Nilrum. You're going to have to fight between Lady Goldmane and the unnamed Bishop of Port Prince. Whoever rolls higher gets to be the cleric. No, the paladin, because of course... Well, the paladin... Actually, the cleric runs the area. The paladin serves them. So the cleric is higher in rank. Each of you roll me a d20. Whoever rolls higher gets to be the cleric.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So Pokemon Challenges. You can be the Bishop of Port Prince.
Yeah.
Pichal. Excellent. And MrMouton, you get to be Lady Goldmane.
I'm a paladin.
A paladin. Yes. And
Good.
we'll bring our characters onto screen here. So for all of those following along at home, this right here is Arknoster, the 8th level wizard who serves Port Prince. This over here is Lady Goldmane, the 7th level paladin who serves on Port Prince. And this right here is the so far unnamed Bishop of Port Prince, who sort of runs the town and is the man in charge. But we're gonna need a name for the Bishop of Port Prince. What do you got for us, Pokemon Challenges? What is the most important cleric in the Midlands called?
Let's go with Give me 1 second. Cyrus.
Good name. I was worried you were going to come up with something to undermine his authority, but well done. Well done.
I was gonna call him Obama. Okay, chill.
Well, beloved heroes, you are gathered today in the dungeons beneath Port Prince because an interesting person has come across your path. The paladin, Lady Goldmane, who hangs out in the harbor, checking boats in and out, gazing upon people, trying to decide who is fair and just, who is here for good, who is here for ill. Are there any magic users or anything like that? You have noticed someone that really shouldn't be doing the things that they're doing. Now, a paladin has many abilities, and we've never really talked about them. The first is that a paladin can detect the presence of evil intent up to 60 feet away by concentrating on locating evil in a particular direction. Additionally, you're immune to all forms of disease. You can heal 2 HP per level once per day just by touching someone. You can cure diseases at will. You're surrounded by an aura of protection that's 10-foot radius. All evil creatures are -1 to hit against you or against anyone in that area. You can turn undead, and you're not quite high enough level to cast priest spells, but you also get a +2 to all your saving throws. Additionally, Lady Goldmane, you have some magic gear. You've got your Helm of Seeing, which allows you to see who's a wizard, who's a caster, where magic exists. You've got a Ring of Protection +3 and a Ring of Free Action on, but these will all get negated as soon as you bring your squire brings you your anti-magic shield. Also, it'll negate your +3 longsword, but you don't really care at the point when you've got the anti-magic shield. That's, in case you're fighting a real wizard or something like that.
Yeah.
Our cleric has a medallion of ESP, which just allows you to sort of focus and read people's surface thoughts, very mild surface thoughts, at will. So, Lady Goldmane, you're on the docks. You see a ship come up. You start looking at these people. They seem fine, but there's something off about one of the folks there. So you grab one of your lackey clerics, one of the lower ranking clerics that are around, and you get them to sort of probe the area. Maybe one of the lower ranking wizards casts ESP, and they read the surface thoughts of the captain who's coming off the ship. And to you, she just looks nervous. You've got 18 charisma, Lady Goldmane. You can read people's faces, and this person seemed uncomfortably nervous entering Port Prince. So of course you get your cleric and your wizard to just do a little mind reading just to see what's up, and they report back that she's been thinking, sort of like, you can't not think about the elephant in the room, but she's thinking about, oh my God, I hope I don't get caught here. So you have caught her. She's clearly suspect. Someone thinking, I don't want to get caught. Don't let me get caught. Oh my God, stop thinking about this. Think about anything else. Coins, lots of coins. I love money. And that's the reading that your people bring back to you. You've now arrested this person and brought her down to the dungeons and collected the other 2 important people in the area to talk about what you're going to do with this person who's clearly suspect, who's clearly trying to hide something from you. And so we'll start the game with the 3 of you hanging out, above the dungeons in that, the area where all the guards hang out, while the dungeons are below them while they watch it. There's a couple other soldiers here who are standing to stiff attention and trying not to pay too much attention while listening for orders. And, well, you've brought everybody here, Lady Goldmane. How would you like to start this off?
Can paladins talk to their gods at will or no?
No, you can't just have a conversation. That sort of stuff is limited to 20th level clerics.
Got it. I guess I will inform them why the lady's here. One of the lower clerics has noticed this person didn't want to be caught at all. Extremely. They kept shuffling their thoughts around. I brought them in for questioning. I looked at the bishop.
Seems wise. Could be anything. Could just be a small criminal, but maybe there's more here, right?
That is what we need to determine. Maybe
Okay.
your helm can help us? I motion to the bishop with the mind reading helm.
The medallion of
Not a
ESP.
medallion.
Okay. I do also have a
That's
mind reading
potato. Oh, you have
spell.
that too.
Mm-hmm.
What's
I
your
have a-
spell?
Sorry?
Go
I
ahead.
was asking what his mind reading spell is.
It just says mind read.
If
I
you
don't.
click on it, it'll put it in chat, and you can read the whole thing. Yeah, there you go.
Well, a sensitive version of the wizard spell ESP. In addition to detecting the surface thoughts of any creature in range, the priest is able to probe deeper into the mind of a single creature. Mind read will always reveal the kind of creature being probed, although this identity may be couched in the creature's own language or in a possibly distorted body image. The spell has a 20% chance of revealing the character's class of individual, the details, and the usefulness. Okay, so it's just a really, really good ESP.
Mm-hmm. And here's the medallion of ESP, which essentially allows you to sort of cast ESP at will in any direction. But you've got to focus on a zone.
I can read her deeper thoughts and figure out what she's doing here.
Sort of
Yeah.
out of character question is
Mhm.
is there context to our investigation? Like, has something happened recently that
Oh
motivates
yeah,
us?
absolutely. There's been all this destruction on the Outer Rim. Your bases have been falling apart. One of your ambassadors was killed recently. Not a prince, but like a high-ranking noble who sort of has been the head noble on the Outer Ring. Prince Virix or Lord Virix has been slain and his castle overthrown. Cities have stopped paying taxes, and the White Prince has called back all the clerics and all the soldiers for the yearly sort of ceremonies and festivals that happen in the beginning of winter, where all the high-ranking people come back, exchange information, talk about what's going on in the kingdom, yada yada yada. And now that the festival is over, everyone's on high alert because these Crimson Fists have been fucking everything up. They've essentially ruined the Outer Ring, and now it's time to reconquer them. And that there's a couple of ships being sent out. The Lightbringer and Thundertoss are headed out there to deal with these people. This person's super fucking sketchy, and the Crimson Fists have been fucking up the world. They've really been throwing a wrench in all of the nice civil society that you've had going for decades.
Okay, awesome. Because I wasn't sure where in the timeline our investigation was.
Oh yeah.
And then my second question is, did I realize from the wanted posters that I had seen Archie? Because I had offered him a job in the street.
Right, you had offered him a job. I will need you to make me a charisma check at disadvantage, because you've seen lots of people in your life.
Okay, I failed it. That's okay.
Yeah. So you didn't remember Archie. Some strong guy in the middle of town, passed your saves. Whatever that happens from time to time. Law of large numbers. Someone's going to pass a save eventually. You don't remember.
I'll speak up then, and I'll say, well, look, these are dangerous times. I don't think standard operating procedures apply here. Every person who could possibly be linked to the trouble at the Rim needs to be investigated thoroughly and cleared. My suggestion is we go in for a first round of questioning, ask some questions about who they are, where they're from, check our verifications on that information that they give us, and then we go in for another round of questioning. What do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We have
Solid
the
plan.
tools to make people talk, especially the
We do.
forces of evil.
Do we use torture at all or no?
No, you've got
For the
mind
greater good?
reading. You've got magic.
okay.
You don't need to
Yeah.
dirty your hands with torture.
Got it.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It's not orderly and kind, civil.
I suppose we don't know what we're dealing with yet, so perhaps a standard basic interrogation at first. Would anyone like to take the lead on this?
I'll probably look to the wizard with the mind reading spell. Would you like a crack
Yeah.
at it this time?
I can figure out what's in her head. Let's move straight to it. Let's find out if she's working with anyone who's trying to oppose us.
Right.
Sure. One last question. Did you say I also have a medallion of ESP?
The cleric does. The
Okay.
head cleric. you
Oh.
are the Archmage.
You're the wizard, yeah.
I have the spell. Gotcha.
Right, you've got the
Maybe
spell.
we can get some surface level thoughts via ESP before I use my spell. To figure out what's in really deep. We can do one more surface level reading just to see what's going on.
Great. Well, down into the dungeons you can head. Our ship captain is locked up in an interrogation cell. There's a lantern that hangs from the ceiling, a magic lantern that was created by our Archmage here once upon a time. If you touch it, it can get lighter, brighter, or dimmer at your will just by, gently touching it and concentrating on light change. But otherwise,
Anyone
it's
who touches it, yeah.
Right. But otherwise, it's just a 10 by 10 cell with a wooden table in the middle of it, a little bolt, like a rounded bolt thing in the center where some chains have gone through to some manacles on either side of the ship captain's hands. She's got her clothes on, but all of her gear has been taken and she's been searched by the guards who do their due diligence. They've checked in all of her equipment into a particular box upstairs, logged it all with descriptions, date and time of when it was found, who it belongs to, following all the procedures to the T. If she's innocent, she needs to get her stuff back and be treated fairly, right? We're not here to harass the good people of the Dardannes. And you find her here. She looks up at you a little bit scared, a little bit
I'll
spooked.
dim the light.
It's a little bit darker. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. There must have been some mistake. I'm a loyal citizen. I have worked with soldiers of the White Prince before. I don't know what's going on, but there must be some sort of mistake.
Could I have cast ESP before I came into this room?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Say, I'm sure if you're an innocent, loyal subject of the White Prince, then you have nothing to fear. We're here just to question you.
Great.
It's a randomized screening, of course. You know, of course, all the danger and violence that's broken out in the Rim.
Don't I know it? I've been sailing out on the Outer Rim trying to do some trading, and oh my, it's been hard.
Do I get a...
Don't you worry at all, man. It's all gonna be good. It's just a standard check, and you'll be out of here in no time.
Has her information already been taken and written down somewhere that I can pick up and review?
Absolutely. There's a chart right there on the table for it.
Yeah, I'll pick it up and I'll kind of pick it up and I'll gently flip through it and then I'll make curious musing noises okay, as
What's
I
her
read
name?
it.
This is Ajora. She is the captain of a merchant ship based out of the Outer Rim.
Not good.
Yep, I'll start rattling off information and I'm confirming it with her. I'll be like, you are Ajora? Blah, blah, blah. This is your profession.
Yes, it is. I am.
You're from the Outer Rim?
I am. My ship is based out of the Mon Cher island chain. So far,
I'll think
these
back
all
to my
seem
notes.
true.
Has the Mon Cher island chain been fucked with by the Crimson Fist at this time?
There was a small detachment that went missing at some point. It's hard to tell if that's the Crimson Fists or if it's local trouble. Sometimes you got to put down folks, and sometimes boats just sink out on the sea, So there was a group. They hopped on a boat. They were never seen again.
But it is next to the Krob Strait, yeah? Where we have clear Crimson Fist sighting.
there were a whole bunch of goblins that took over that place, and the Crimson Fists were definitely there.
Okay. I'll keep that in my mind.
Yeah, in your ESP, PotatoMcWhiskey is very much sort of oh my god, they think I've done something wrong. Oh no, oh my god, I'm in so much trouble. What's going on?
I'll continue to read the chart. Oh, go ahead.
Is she sitting on something? How is she positioned right now?
She's on a chair, a wooden chair.
Okay. I'll kneel down next to her and put my hand on her and be like, "It's all good. You're not nervous, are you? It's just a routine check. You're gonna be out of here in no time. Don't worry. You have nothing to fear.
Okay.
You're loyal to the White Prince, right? You're loyal to us."
Of course.
I look in her eyes.
I
Okay. Just breathe calmly. It's all gonna be good.
Okay. Okay. Takes a couple breaths.
I look back at Sale.
I'll say let's I suppose let's get the hard stuff out of the way. Have you ever been a participant in any smuggling operations or criminal activity that involves subverting the White Prince's law with regards to goods and services being supplied without proper taxes being paid?
I have not.
Have you encountered any criminal elements that are subversive with the White Prince's ideals? For example, the Crimson Fists, and I'll list off a few random pirate organizations that kind of operate.
As a merchant, sometimes we run into people from time to time that seem a little bit sketchy. Undoubtedly, I have run into horrible brigands without knowing it. The Outer Rim is filled with treachery, but I would never knowingly associate with any of those people.
I'll make a tutting noise and then start writing something on my notes.
What cargo did you bring into Port Prince today?
Today we're bringing in worked wooden goods from Colrogia and
It's
Port
okay.
Augustus.
Just keep calm. You know, it'll happen sometimes to some people that you get in with the wrong crowd, you talk to the wrong people, you get caught up in something. Did something like that happen to you?
No, never. Absolutely
It's
not.
sometimes it's not even our fault. We just, you look back and suddenly you realize you've been associating with some strange people, wrapped up in some strange things, and you haven't really been thinking about it. It can really happen to anyone.
He looks at the bishop of Port Prince, and back over to the paladin, and back over to the archmage. I sold some things on Sulphur Island to a new group of people who set up there that seemed maybe a little sketchy.
Motherfucker.
I don't
Sulphur
really.
Island.
Yeah.
Sulphur Island's been abandoned for years.
A long time.
There's people
I haven't
there
heard stories
now.
from that place in a while.
Yeah, I been doing my trip around the Outer Rim, keeping as close to these same islands as possible. Don't want to lose sight of land. That's where danger happens. And we saw some smoke rising from the abandoned city and stopped off. And there were some people there. There was a small, thriving town. You could see it from the sea. So we parked by, docked, had a little shop going and some small trade. There's not a lot. They seemed pretty legit. But
And when did you meet Captain Winters?
Excuse me? Who's Captain Winters?
Never said she met
Uh,
Captain Winters. I bet she didn't. I bet
Is
you don't know who
do-
that is, right?
Do paladins have a detect lie thing? And do we know who Captain Winters is at this point? I assume that we've heard of it.
Yes, you have.
Okay. Good.
You can detect. There's a spell detect lie that one of you has. Paladin, you just got 18 charisma.
I don't have.
So you can
yeah, I don't have-
read
yeah.
someone's face. Give me a charisma check.
Second, gotta pull her up.
It's a really
29.
good charisma check versus her lying roll. There's clear, she's throwing all the signs of someone who is in hot water, and is sort of acting fast. She's got that sketchy vibe around her. The Captain Winter's remark could be truth, could not be truth, but she's definitely not being honest with you, 100%, Paladin.
I'll whisper that to the cleric. I can tell that she's lying about the winter stuff. I think we might need to go deeper into the spell.
Can I ask what I've been arrested for? Was there something wrong with my ledger or my books?
Well, I think security is just really tight lately, and so we're checking anyone who has a questionable history. I've been looking over the record of where your ship has been at dock, and I'm taking my time and I'm like cross-referencing where that ship has docked and like where sightings of the Crimson Fists have been. And were we spotted on Montshare when she was at Montshare?
You killed all the witnesses except for her and her crew. There
Right.
was a small village where you were all spotted and hung out and dragged some people into the sea, but that's a small village on the side of the island, and that report has never gotten back to the White Prince.
So no news of her boat activity has coincided with Crimson Fist activity.
Well, no, she's just been a merchant on the Outer Rim. Everything, all the papers are according to plan, and she just seems to have been very freely and easily trading up there, which other ships have been doing as well.
So my next question is, was there a pattern in her trading activity that was like very regular, and then did that suddenly change at some point in her trading activity? Like did she have like she's going from this island to this island to this island, like, and she does this every year, and then at some point now she's
always been more of like a take a job as it comes, wherever it takes you sort of person. And so she'll like pick up some cargo and sail somewhere wild, and then maybe like do some small trips around the rim until she finds a job that takes her somewhere else. So she's always had irregular activity. But what you do notice is nowhere in her ledger does it say anything about Sulphur Island. There's no, docking information. There's no sign off of a harbor master there. Her ledger never mentions Sulphur Island.
Well, there is no harbor master in Sulphur Island, right?
That's true.
Like no official one.
That's true.
Yeah. As I'm looking at those documents, I'll say, well, you have no record here of you docking at Sulphur Island. That would be potentially illegal activity, would it not be?
There was no harbor master there to take my records, but I looked for them. I looked for.
But you haven't even written it in your own notes that you were there. It's highly suspect, in my opinion.
Didn't you find it odd that there was no harbor master there? Didn't you think to contact your local authority immediately?
I must confess, I was focused on the work and making ends meet for my crew. And I guess by the time I got to the next island, and ran into another harbor master, just slipped my mind. To be honest,
You just forgot, but now you remember. All of a sudden. It's coming back to you.
Well,
It
you
works
asked-
like that sometimes.
yeah, and when you asked about, strange things, I remembered that it was strange there. You get used to your customs and your activities, and every now and then something slips through the cracks, and she looks at the bishop again, right? Things just sometimes slip through the cracks.
Yeah, important things like that sometimes just slip through the cracks. Sometimes you, I guess, just forget a little bit about your loyalty to the White Prince, isn't that right?
But it's not a loyalty issue. It's just a, sometimes you don't put the keys back on the hook. You accidentally drop them on the floor, or you put a book back
Yeah.
in the wrong spot. There was no malintent, I swear.
Our society is built on the rules and protected by the rules that are laid down by the White Prince. His intervention and guidance protects us. You, with your
course it
inaction,
does.
with your inactivity, and with your slipping of your mind, you could have contributed to the threat in the Outer Rim. What other things have you forgotten? What other rules have you forgotten to follow? Have you not seen what happens when people stray from the White Prince's path? Chaos reigns out there.
These people out there, they do horrible things. You've seen it. You've heard the stories, right? People's heads exploding from being punched.
I have. But
You've seen it?
no.
I
I've
ask
heard the stories, but
inquisitively.
you know how people talk and make things up, and
But you've never seen any of them. You realize lying to us won't get you anywhere, right? We have more spells. We have detect lie. Probably better if you fess up now.
I'll smirk and make a laugh and be like, I've written down every lie you've told.
Don't you want to be a captain again? Don't you want to be free?
sure she does.
How about we redo this conversation? Where did you meet John Winters? The first time.
She nervously looks to the all-powerful spellcasters and paladin in front of her. She sees the Archmage sort of closing his eyes momentarily as he concentrates on the ESP spell that searches her mind. It's. I hear the Crimson Fists have a powerful mage. It's possible that my memory's been wiped, and I don't. Maybe that's why I didn't mention the Sulphur Island. Maybe they altered my memory. That's a spell, right? Modified memory. That's a spell. That's a thing that people do.
Out of character, would I know that that's how that spell works, or is there like some inconsistency there with how that spell usually works? Because I would know, right?
Right. The person with the modified memory spell here is PotatoMcWhiskey, the
Okay,
Archnoster. However, wait, that's not true. I think I just lied to you. I think you have the modified memory spell. Let me double check.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, you have
Yeah, I
modified
do.
memory. In fact, it's even memorized right now. So you know
Nice.
that you can eliminate all memory of the event the subject has actually experienced, or you can allow them to recall an event in detail. You can change the events, or you can implant a memory that never happened. So yeah, that's sort of following. There's a duration and a limit on these things, but generally speaking, yeah, that could be true.
If someone had a modified memory, could I see that with Detect Magic?
No, it's not going to show up with a detect magic spell.
Sort of out of character question, could you use modify memory to make someone remember that they confessed and then they just continue confessing because they act in that framework? So for example, if Archie used modify, would that be equivalent to torture, where you've essentially extracted information that may or may not be true?
You didn't hurt them, right? Torture is about causing suffering, right?
Well, he's saying
Right,
like
but-
torture will cause answers, but sometimes it's like just not true
I
answers,
see what you're
right?
saying.
Yes.
Well, let's see. Modify memory.
Oh, dude, what if you like modified memoried her to give her memories of like killing her family, and then you could be like, "Hey, we can get you out of this. It's okay."
Eliminate all memory of an event the subject's actually experienced. Allow the subject to recall with perfect clarity. No. Change the details of an event the subject has actually experienced. Casting the spell takes a round. If they fail a saving throw, you can proceed with the spell by spending up to 5 minutes visualizing the memory he wishes to modify in the subject. Caster's concentration is disturbed, the spell is lost. Modified memory will not necessarily affect the subject's actions, particularly if they contradict his natural inclinations. Any illogical modified memory, such as the subject recalling how much he enjoyed drinking poison, will be dismissed by the subject as a bad dream or a memory muddled by too much wine. More useful applications include implanting memories of a friendly encounter with the caster, changing the details of orders given to the subject by a superior, or causing the subject to forget the caster cheated him in a game of cards. So it's going to be pretty subjective based on how you want to do it. If you were to give them the memory of like seeing fighting off a red dragon single-handedly, the rest of their life would probably contradict that. Like, they would be more famous if they did that. They would have told that story a bunch. It would be a subject that comes up a lot, but only having that one memory of that red dragon and it like not echoing through their life might not work. You are free to. You have this person in prison. They're not going anywhere. You can do whatever you want, and you can try things out. And if it doesn't work, you can try something else out. You're the agents of the White Prince on the most important city in the Midlands. And this person might have information you need. This is time to test the limits of your spells.
We're gonna give you a few minutes to get your story straight. Then we're gonna come back here. We're gonna give you a do-over. Does that sound good? The previous answers that you gave us, I can see through them. They were obviously lies. I don't think you're a bad person, so I don't want to send you away to the jails, to the camps. Do we have camps, Koibu? Do we have work camps here?
No, if someone... There are prisons and jails, of course. The death penalty is there for people who've done truly atrocious things.
Treason?
Rarely comes up. But yes, if someone commits a true and proper like pirates, you hang pirates. Or maybe you leave them in the stockades for a couple of weeks so everyone can come by and throw shit at them, and then you hang them or drown them or something, right? Sometimes you can have people work away their sentences, but it's not like a work camp. It's more like, public service, like go pick up all the trash in town.
Did she came on a ship with crew? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna lie, so I don't know if you want a charisma check, but in our
you're
brief,
the paladin, right?
yeah.
You must follow a code of ethics.
Oh, I gotta
You
be good.
must be a good, honest, righteous paladin of the god of law, the god of order, the god of like social society and constructs.
So if I say something, it's true. Okay, cool. That's fine. I can continue with that.
Yeah. Imagine like being the sort of police officer that you want the world to have for police officers.
Well, then this cop can't lie to them, right?
Yeah, that would probably be antithetical. You don't need to lie to get what you want. You can find a way to make the truth work for you.
I think that we're gonna come back in 5 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna send people out for your crew, and I want to have a chat with your first mate, and make sure that your stories line up perfectly. If you're not lying, they will, right?
I swear by the White Prince and Lord God Astaire that I would never mislead you knowingly.
I nod. I'll call in a guard and I'll ask them to go and fetch me the first mate, and to fetch me like a lowly
Backhand or
deck
something.
swapper. Yeah.
Great. Does that mean the party's leaving the interrogation room with her for a moment?
Is it okay to let her get her story straight for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Cool. We'll leave for a few minutes.
Head back out. The door shuts behind her. You head back up to the area where you can talk amongst yourselves. The guards are going out to fetch the first mate, and one of the deckhands, there's someone who's keeping an eye on them. One of your lowly guards has followed them around. You'll find them. They'll be brought back here in no time. Their ship isn't going anywhere. It's been chained to the dock, so she can't get off the island one way or the other, and neither can any of them. Right, party.
Cool.
What are you thinking?
What spells did you guys happen upon for today's interrogation? Any others that'll be of assistance? Detect lie, maybe?
Well, I hadn't planned on an interrogation this morning, of course, but I did bring
never do.
ESP, clairvoyance, clairaudience, detect magic, and fear. Although I'm not sure how applicable any or all of those spells could be. With rest, I could potentially bring more useful spells.
Well, they'll be here as long as we need them. So if we need to rest, then you shall rest.
Surely we couldn't hold her for too long. There are rules around these things. We have a investigative timeline that we'll have to follow. The rules are the rules. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely. How long do we think we have?
You can hold her for 48 hours until you have more information. And after that point, if you have probable cause, you can hold her as long as you need. There is no jury trial. The clerics decide what is right and what is wrong. So if you think that she has committed some crime, you are free to essentially convict her on the spot of such a thing, because you're the bishop. You are the highest authority in the Midlands and actually on the Outer Rim. There's one bishop on each of the 5 islands in the center ring. One bishop for the White Prince as his right-hand man, and you are the bishop for the Midlands and the Outer Ring together. You're an important person in society. You have the judge, jury, and executioner role if you want to hold it. Yeah.
So there's no real court system. It's just kind of whatever the person wants.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's whoever has
But the
authority.
bishops are meant to be good and whatnot.
Yeah. It's sort
Makes
of,
sense.
nobles also have the same authority. If a noble thinks that you've done something, a noble of appropriate rank, they can, just sentence you to jail. We don't have trials in the way that we do in the modern world. There's no organization for that. You just someone in charge who does the right thing, and they have the authority to do whatever you want.
And my assumption is then like an appeals process would be based on how powerful the person that has been captured.
Yes.
So like, if you're imprisoning a peasant, who the fuck cares? But if you imprison like a noble who has a father who's powerful, he's going to be like, you need to like show proof about my son. I'm going to go to my own people. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Okay, we'll bring the deck swabber and the first mate.
Yeah. They come on by. They get dragged in by one of your guards who snaps you a stiff salute and says, All
Eddie's.
praise the White Prince. We found these ruffians in a tavern, drinking away their troubles. First mate here, and he roughly brings in the first mate. Hasn't said a lick since we've arrested him. And he grabs, someone else grabs a deck swabber.
When he like roughly pushes the first mate, like I'll grab him and I'll like set him straight and like make sure their shoulders are good. Now, guard, we don't treat our prisoners like savages. Am I understood?
Yes, my lord. I apologize. And he looks to the prisoner. I apologize for treating you roughly. It's not the way of the right prince. I shall go
Milady.
self-flagellate immediately.
Yes. Please.
Steps back out and grabs the thing and starts whipping himself on the back a few times. 10 times for the crime of being too rough. Proceeds with his day.
Good. Oh, dearie. I hope that they weren't too rough with you. Are you okay?
Fine. Not a big deal.
Good. We just had a few questions for you. Your captain called you as a character witness, and we just wanted to make sure that you're... Wait, I can't lie. We just had a few questions for you. We wanted to make sure that your story lines up with what your captain's saying. Everything should be fine, and you should be free to go in more than 5 minutes. No
Is
more
Captain
than 5
Ajor
minutes.
okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Your captain will be unharmed.
You
Okay.
want to get to it?
Of course.
I'll point to a room and motion them to follow.
Now, are you bringing them all the way down to the dungeons, or are you like staying up in the upper offices area?
The upper offices is fine, but anyone else has any other thing, then... What do you guys think? Upper offices, or you want to go to the dungeons?
Upper offices feels more comfortable and as if they are not in
Yeah.
big trouble yet. And so they
Yeah.
may be more willing to like, oh, we're not on our guard here. They're just like checking up on us.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, you bring
I'll
them
have
just
the
into...
deckhand brought. I'll whisper to a guard. Bring the deckhand to the lower levels.
Guard nods. Holds the deckhand until you are out of sight, and then we'll take them down to the lower levels. You can interrogate the first mate over here in the offices. It's a nice day in the Midlands. The sun is shining. It's winter, but it's still nice and warm out, There's a windows propped open in this room, allowing a breeze through from the outside. You can hear the sounds of town beyond. The first mate doesn't seem too concerned, but then realizing that that's actually the Inquisitor who's no longer at the docks and is here in this room with me. And that looks like some wizard, but I don't recognize their face of them. And that person's got the hat of a bishop, so they're definitely important. Begins to sort of like a little more serious as they realize the situation before them. The person you're interrogating, the first mate, is like a broad shoulders, strapping young man with like tight muscles and just a very loose tank top style shirt and some loose pants on with sandals. A couple of bronze bracers on the sides, to show off some wealth and power and look kind of tough and be fashionable. A bronze necklace, but otherwise fairly modest in means. How can I help you?
Got a few questions for you. How long have you been with Sorry, what is your ship's name?
Captain Ajora? Or
But
or
what do you call your ship?
we call it the...
Is it the Forbidden Fruit?
It was something like that.
The Forbidden Fruit is the one that you guys captured. I actually can't find the name of her ship. I've been looking for it while you've been talking. I don't think we ever named it.
No, we must have.
Must have.
It had a name. I have she had Scarlet, Miley, and Emma on her crew. but I don't remember. I didn't write down her name, the name of her boat.
I have the Merchant Ajora on my
Mhm.
shitty notes. The Golden Light is Brophy's ship. And then I don't have the Forbidden Fruit anymore. But, yeah. If you can't find it, it's fine.
My notes just keep referring it to as her ship.
That makes sense.
We're going to name it then. It's going to be called the Apogea.
The Apogea.
Yeah.
How long have you been a member of the Apogea?
Ooh, 6 years now is when I signed up.
You sign up as a deckhand or first mate? How did you get on?
Well, I was a deckhand and a able-bodied seaman on another ship for a while. But eventually, social situations, that the ship wasn't heading in the same direction that I wanted. So I retired from that one and did a little bit of dock work for a bit. Bumped into Captain Ajora and, chatted, hit it off. We seemed to have the same mind about how to go about things, how to, what sort of jobs we wanted, the lifestyle that we wanted to lead. She had a ship, was looking for a new first mate and some extra crew. So I joined on up. Been a loyal member of the Apogea and the Dardanelles ever since.
Honorable.
Understand. I'm sure Captain Ajora would speak highly of you.
I
Do you
certainly
think?
hope so. I think I've
What has been your main trade on the Ajora? What do you guys sell usually?
Well, we mostly haul cargo from one place to the other. Occasionally, if we find a good deal, and Captain Jorah has the free money, she'll personally purchase supplies, things, and see if she can't sell them at a higher markup somewhere else. But mostly we do cargo and transport. A lot less risk. We are bonded with the Outer Rim Insurance Agency. So that we'll always pay our debts, and if we're not going to take anything or disappear with any of it, and I think the bonds are all up to date, and I think all the finances have been taken care of.
Well, isn't that wonderful? Captain Ajora was saying something about the Monshare region. Would you please explain that voyage? She was
Monshare?
informing us. Correct. She was
Right.
informing us about what happened at Monshare, and I wanted to get another opinion.
Well, we've passed through Monshare a few times.
I'm
One of the
talking about
time,
the visit.
well, there was one time.
I'll pull out like a notebook and like scribble with like a quill and pen.
What did Captain
Wait.
Jorah say happened?
Are there rights that we need to inform people of here, or no?
No.
Captain Ajora gave us a story. However, we're cross-referencing to make sure that you both give the same story. You understand how these investigations work, right?
I'll kind of kick it back in the chair. We hear a lot of stories here. A lot of things happen. And her story just happened to be so unbelievable to me that I just needed to make sure that another crew member could vouch. We need to get to it right away if it's true.
I don't know what you're talking about. To be honest, I wouldn't normally say this in front of a bishop or a paladin, but sailors, some of us have a bit of a drinking problem. There's a really good winemaker in Monshare. Every time we go through, the first thing I do is hit the bottles. Everything around Monshare is always a little blurry because I'm a sinner and I spend too much time with the bottle, and it's all just sort of fuzzy.
I see.
Astaire punished me for my lack of self-control.
So you don't remember what happened on Monshare at all?
We picked
You
up
know the
some
penalty
cargo.
for lying to a cleric? To a wizard? To a paladin?
I don't remember.
Okay, well then you must remember what happened on Sulphur Island. What the cargo was?
We've been to Sulphur Island, but just moving boxes, right? I don't know what's in the boxes. It's easier that way, to just move things rather than buy and sell things.
Nobody talked about what's in the boxes.
And did you meet anyone on that island who has a name that would be memorable? I find it startling and unbelievable if the first mate of a ship didn't meet a single person on that island that they could name.
Yeah.
You
I
had your
bet.
eyes open, right?
Of
You were
course. I
looking
mean,
around.
yeah. It was I remember the smell. I remember all the buildings were pretty broken down. The whole place looked dilapidated and fallen apart. There wasn't a harbor master. There was some guy there named John that was in charge.
Ah, John who? I have his name right here, but do you remember his last name?
Brophy or Brothy or Brofidius.
A noble?
Yeah, I don't think so. He didn't act like a noble. Merchant of some kind. I think
I
maybe
write
he
his
took
name
the
down.
boxes.
Oh, so you were delivering the boxes to John then?
Captain says
your
jump.
shipping
Yeah, we jump.
manifest should have this, yes? You were there to deliver something, right?
I'm sure he recorded everything and it's all in order.
Oh, the
Yeah, we'll be
captain
checking your
records the
books.
manifest. I'm just the first mate,
You don't
Sure.
have any insight into the bookkeeping of your ship at all? I mean, I know as a first mate you're busy always, but
I'm sorry, Your Grace. I didn't catch that. Any insight into what?
1 second, sorry.
Any insight into the bookkeeping?
Oh, the bookkeeping. Well, Captain, I get the captain's books for her, but she's very insistent on managing them herself. She says it's a protocol for the captain to keep all the books in order, and it would be inappropriate for the first mate to try and adjust anything.
Do we have her books? I assume they would be on the
Yes.
captain when they came.
Yeah,
I'll
when
flip
you
through 'em.
come off the island, you present your ledger and your logs for inspection.
I do have
Was
an out
there-
of character question. Is there like I don't know what the word you would use is, but like a ban on settling on certain islands around the rim, for example, Sulphur Island? Are these islands like not unholy, but you know what I'm saying? Like they're
No,
whatever unsanctioned, you can't go there.
No. There's just people don't go there because there's no reason to. The White Prince generally is sort of hoping people will populate the islands and spread out a little bit more and like further settle everything. But that place was overrun with undead, and you would know that as a cleric and as a paladin and as an archmage. You would know that there were a whole bunch of undead cruising around on that island from when it was overthrown 80 some years ago.
What do we think about the undead?
Well, they are the loyal, faithful people who have given their undying pledge to serve the White Prince in this life and beyond. They are like the pinnacle of virtue and honor. People giving up their afterlife to serve,
Continue
make the world a
serving.
better place. They're true
So they're like-
heroes.
Volunteer immortal soldiers.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
They're
It's a bit grim,
good,
but all right.
Good people. Really devout.
Well, we know about it. They've been there. The average person knows about the Oathsworn, yes?
Yeah, people know about it, but no one likes to talk about it. It's one of those like,
Okay, so we wouldn't talk about it.
yeah, it's just, how sometimes in society there's a thing that everybody is aware of, but is just like an uncomfortable thing to bring up, and so
No.
people don't. It's one of
Yeah.
those things. Everyone
Yeah.
knows about the Oathsworn, but in polite society, you don't mention it. It might come up in like soldier talk and like the high-ranking levels of Astaire folks. Your circles, your social circles might talk about the Oathsworn, but the small folk, no.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. We were just talking to him. Oh, I'll flip through the logs. Is there a scheduled delivery supposed to be at Sulphur Island?
Who scheduled their scheduled delivery?
Yeah, it sounds like so.
Uh.
He was saying, well, we have boxes and we were delivering them to John.
Uh-huh.
There should be something in the logs then saying like who ordered the delivery, who
Right.
got the delivery on Sulphur
Yeah,
Island, and stuff like that.
absolutely. Yes, there should be some sort of log of that, but if you flip through the ledgers, there's no log of any deliveries to Sulphur
Nothing.
Island. It's just conveniently missing everywhere. And if you wanted to pour through the logs to see if there was a record of something being picked up without being dropped off, you could, but that would take you like a day or two to, catalog everything appropriately.
Yeah, I'll just kind of point through it. You said you had a delivery for Mr. Brophy, yes? Boxes. You don't know what's in them.
Yep, there was a delivery to the island, and he took it, so I assume so.
I will pull the logs. I'll turn it around, and You can read, yes?
Uh-huh. Of course.
Push it towards him and have him read that area and discover himself that there is nothing. He already probably knows that.
Yeah, he knows. Well, this is unusual. I suppose. I don't really know.
So your commander just made a mistake. After all,
Beyond my pay grade, sir. Beyond my pay grade.
Ma'am.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry,
I am
ma'am.
a madam.
Madam Lady Goldman, I'm so sorry, ma'am.
Oh my god, I am
I
offended.
thought office. I didn't know.
Goodness. Okay. Well, you've been most unhelpful. I think that we're gonna need to take this. Well, do either of you have any questions? I'll look to my colleagues.
I'll think for a moment, and I'll kind of like stroke my chin, say, "No, I believe the questions I have already been answered by his silence."
Over his heart. All hail the White Prince.
Does he look scared?
He looks
probably.
deeply intimidated, but you're used to that. I mean, look at you. You're Lady
I'm a paladin.
Goldmane. You're a paladin. This is the Bishop of Port-Prince. This is an 8th level clerical spellcaster, one of the 7 highest ranking spellcasters in the land, the White Prince himself excluded. And over here is the Archmage himself, the most important wizard here. Big area. How could you not be intimidated in your presence?
I think we're gonna take you down to the to the dungeons to await our investigation. We will not hold you for anything more than, I don't know, 48 hours.
As His Highness wills it.
He does.
Yes, and if you're a loyal servant of the White Prince, we do apologize for the inconvenience.
I understand.
Yeah.
There are dangerous things that need to be taken care of. Anything I can do to help would be my honor.
Understood. I will just take him off at
Down
that point.
Yep.
Yeah, down he goes.
And I think this is a spot for our first break. When we come back on the other side, our party will see what's up with these characters. See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. It's a beautiful day in Port-Prince, and it's a beautiful day to serve the White Prince. You've got these ne'er-do-wells who are foolish enough to walk near our mighty Inquisitor, our mighty Paladin, who could just smell the crime on them. Ugh, what a good day it is to serve the light of the Lord. So, before we get too deep into this investigation, what does it feel like to be an Inquisitor of the White Prince who might have found out something about these damn dirty, filthy pirates?
Feels good. We're doing the Lord's work. We're bringing law and order back to the realm. If anything, I've been probably self-flagellating myself for what happened on the Outer Rim. You know,
Mm.
shit's gotten too bad around here.
If only, as an Inquisitor, you could rule, serve the Outer Rim instead of just Port Prince. But your duties and your oath keep you here. What a tragedy.
Disgusting.
You could just be set free. You could bring these evildoers down yourself.
Single-handedly.
And we're going to go over to the cleric next. Not any cleric, the bishop. 8th level cleric of Astaire, empowered with all sorts of spells. You're in charge of all of this stuff. And there's been this trouble on the Outer Rim, but it hasn't really hit Port Prince yet. And yet, you're sort of semi-responsible for the Outer Rim as the only bishop not within the inner circle. How have you been feeling about having, the Outer Rim falling apart on you?
It feels bad. It feels like we're losing control, which is to a bishop like this, probably things getting out of order seems like the worst possible thing to happen, right? I think mostly I'm worried about the people that I'm responsible for, and the havoc that's being wreaked on them, and I hope that I can bring them back to safety soon and bring order back.
Excellent. And mage, you have a slightly different position in all of this. The mages of the White Prince are taught very specific spells in a very specific, slow rote way so that everybody can have more or less the same spellbook, the spells that are useful to the White Prince. And while the cleric over there gets a medallion of ESP, and the paladin gets like a longsword and a magic helm, you are denied any magic equipment, and your spells that you must learn are handpicked for you in your servitude. There's always been like a class difference where the clerics absolutely need the mages because the mages have particular spells that are important to have. But the mages are sort of like restrained in their power and sort of like kept in a little bit of confinement, else they get out of hand. And yet you've risen to the rank of Archmage. You've risen to the highest rank of wizard available in these lands. So what is it like for you, all these other things aside, being one of the most powerful wizards in the land and yet always contained by the faith?
So I've actually thought about this a little bit. There's two ways I can think of this. And I think for you to become an Archmage, you have to think one particular way, and that is you have to be bought in. You have to be bought in. The confinement is justified. Look at this heretic spellcaster, this wanton destruction mage running rampant with spells that are unsanctioned magic. Rumors of fog cloud, of entire villages being wiped into the sea, all this sort of stuff. This is exactly why I am limited, and it's exactly why I'm here, is to act in the favor of the White Prince, to bring unruly wizards to heal with the assistance of clerics and inquisitors. Now, I might feel the constraint heavily upon me, but I truly believe that, based on what's been going on in the Outer Rim, that it is the right decision. That it is important to limit me, because where wizards like me limited or unlimited, this is what you see. You see disorder and chaos.
Yeah. Right. And so, in that case, is this how are you feeling about these prisoners that you've got?
Right now, I'm not particularly feeling like there's much deeper to this. I'm just pressing and trying and putting the pressure on, but I don't think I particularly have an inclination that they are caught up in anything bigger. There's nothing.
Okay.
They're probably smugglers. Their stories kind of line up, but they're not a big deal.
Gotcha.
They're probably worth arresting and figuring out, and maybe they'll have a bit of information on some pirates that are operating, or a smuggling town, or whatever. But yeah.
Gotcha. Great. Well, let's come back into game then, as you've got this situation. So explain what's going on next, and then we'll get to it.
I have Our plan was to get the first mate and Ajora into the same room, and then I would use clairaudience to listen to any potential conversation that they would have. However, I do have a couple of questions. First one is, how many resources would I be given as an archwizard, like discretionary spending? Because like clairaudience is like 100 gold spell, so like how much of a budget do I have, and then how more willing would I be to spend that budget in the light of this crisis?
Right. So you have a very large budget to do these things. Clairaudience is an expensive spell, and it takes a lot of gold that has to be wound into this perfect code and all that jazz. So it's not a spell that you're likely to use unless you think it is important to further the ends. I guess in this moment, you get to decide whether the Archmage of Port Prince is a quick and easy spender, or if he is more of a diligent man who keeps a tight budget. And that's going to be in your ballpark, but you don't answer to anyone about spending. You can justify any expense anytime you want. You're in charge.
And that's how it should be, Koibu.
Unless the bishop tells you you're spending too much money.
Yeah, I think I would have then I think how I would feel is I would have a discussion with the bishop about how we would want to proceed, which magical spells we would want to use, and would we like to be cost efficient. Like the Zone of Truth, I think that might be an expensive spell, so perhaps we would be better to attempt clairaudience and save, the coffers of a stair. There's a limited amount of gold to go around.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know they had clairaudience, so I think that the average person wouldn't know. But I have no idea. We'll have the guards keep in separate rooms while we discuss this. Obviously, we don't want to miss the moment that they get to talk to each other again.
Yep, I will. I'll start the conversation off. I'll say, well, they are definitely suspicious, but I am not detecting anything that is sending off, conspiracy alarms or anything worthy of deeper investigation. However, it is probably best that we do get to the bottom of this. So, how do you guys think we should proceed?
I think we should use the clairaudience. I think it's better to find the answer out. Easy way. They'll probably talk to each other and they'll try and get their story straight. At the bare minimum, we'll see if there's something that they're trying to conceal.
The more we let them alone, the more we let them talk, the more we find out how malicious their intentions truly are.
They also think we're probably busy dealing with the deck swabber anyways, so their guards will be down.
I like nod and stroke my beard, and in this time of crisis, we can never be too careful. Every root must be pulled until the tree is felled. And then I will set up the guards to go do that. I will tell them to put them in the same cell so that they can visit with each other, blah, blah, blah. And then I will prepare the spell clairaudience to listen in on that potential meeting. And I'll try to make it so that the guards kind of go on their lunch break at the same time, so they don't feel like there's anyone outside the cell either listening.
Very wise.
Like maybe they're given lunch. They're at lunch, right? So they're eating together, and the guards are like in the room, but they're like across the room, so they can maybe have a whispered conversation. That's kind of the setup I'm looking for.
Yeah, gotcha.
Very wise.
Okay. Well, easy to set up. The guards follow your instructions to the letter. If they don't, there's a spell that one of you has. I do believe it is actually you, called Compulsive Order, Bishop of a Stair. This is perhaps your most fearsome spell of all. This is the spell you can use on agents of the state who maybe aren't holding up their end of the bargain, or maybe are a little bit lax. It's a permanent spell that infuses them with being like OCD orderly, to the point that it will destroy or majorly disturb their life. If they're going to like eat food, they have to decide the order in which they eat the food. Maybe hardest to softest, driest to wettest, biggest to smallest. Maybe you go like grains, vegetables, meats, some order, but like everything must be in a tight order and must be completely defined. So if you're counting coins, you'll pile them all up in stacks of 10 by color and blah, 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 blah. This is your my agents aren't working right and we need them to behave appropriately thing. And it is fearsome indeed. everyone wants to do the right thing, else they be compelled to do it against their will. And so yeah, they follow your orders, and soon the dungeons are quiet. Except for the guards having dinner or lunch or whatever.
And I believe that we bring them together and we do clear audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, jails. Castle jails. Yes. So you bring them together, and our wizard will clear audience in. So you will hear this on your own, Mr. Wizard.
Yeah, and it's 8 rounds of listening.
So pretty soon, as you clear audience into it, well, actually, let me rephrase. You know when the guards will go down and move them. You've got 8 minutes that you can listen in. Do you want to listen to the first 8 minutes? Do you want to wait 5 minutes and then listen to the next 8? What's the timing of your spell?
Well, I think the basic idea was this is like a lunch, so they're only going to get like 10 minutes to eat. So I might miss like them being brought into the room and then them being taken out. So I might like wait a minute, and then like the second I think they're sat down, I'll clear audience in.
Got it. All right. So with the 10-minute lunch, you can listen to the whole thing, essentially. And it goes pretty quickly. Captain Ajora and the first mate. First name for the first mate? I don't think so.
No,
First
but the
mate-
names of the people on the crew was Scarly, Miley, and Emma. Scarlet, Miley, and Emma. I like fucked up every single one of those names.
Nice. Well, then this is Scarlet. Scarlet and Ajora are sitting down in their cell, and Ajora, you can't see what's happening, but you can hear the like rustling of chains and clothes as they scoot closer to each other on the bench. And Ajora saying, "What are you doing here? What did you tell them?" And Scarlet saying, "Look, boss, I don't know what's going on. They started asking me questions, and they started asking about Sulphur Island, and they started asking, well, they started asking about that, happened on Monsieur, and I tried to, they knew too much. They already knew where we were." And Ajora's like, yeah, I know, we're in some hot shit here. All right, we got to get our plan straight. I've already told them we've been Sulphur Island, and Scarlet chimes in. Yeah, they knew that. They asked me about it. I told them that we dropped off a box there for John Brophy, and Ajora says, "Damn it, I told them I didn't remember much about that time." That's okay. I'm the captain. My memory was altered. You're just the first mate. No one would alter your memory. Your memory was altered? Yeah. That's what I told them. I told them that my memory was maybe. I don't know. Look, we're in some hot shit here. How the fuck did we get out of this prison? No one gets out of these. But come on, think. Did you see what that was? That was a bishop and a paladin at the same time. The other person, Scarlet, pauses. What do you think Nilrum's gonna do when he finds out that we've been captured? And Ajora says, "Well, he threatened to kill all of our families, hunt them down and murder them, so we shouldn't get caught." Scarlet says, "I hate to tell you, Captain, but we're in the dungeons, and we're already caught." So, Ajora says, "Okay. Well, if they find out the truth, I don't know if we're gonna be traitors or pirates or what. So we've got 2 options as I see it. One, we just fold and tell them everything that we know and throw ourselves on the mercy of the court and beg for their forgiveness and go really far out of our way to help them. I mean, we didn't volunteer for this position. We were kind of foisted into it, And Scarlet says, "Yeah, Captain, we could do that, but White Prince isn't really known to be a forgiving man, and I don't know how much they're going to help us. They'll forgive us. Well, we do know a lot about the Crimson Fists. We actually know quite a bit about them. Maybe that knowledge is worth something, Maybe we can bargain for at least for our lives with it. We'll definitely never sail again, but maybe we won't spend the rest of our lives rotting in a prison or hanging by a rope. Scarlet says, "Well, okay, but you said there was a second option. What's the second option, Captain?" Jorah says, "Well, second option is we find a way to kill ourselves so that our families don't get murdered." I don't really like that option, Captain. Yeah. One of us could do the other, but the remaining person, I don't know how that's going to work. I think we're going to get caught. Captain, I don't like this way that this is going. I told you we shouldn't have come to Port Prince. We have to come to Port Prince. Come on. Think of a way to kill me if I kill you first? I don't really feel like killing you, Captain. I think we should just tell him everything. Do you have much family, Scarlet? Once Nilrum finds out that you were working with the White Prince, well, what if we beg to get our families, taken off the Outer Rim first? Maybe that's how we could bargain. We say we know stuff, but we need our families free before we can tell them anything. You're really gonna tell the White Prince you have knowledge about the Crimson Fist, but you have to wait to tell them? How do you think that's gonna go? Beyond my pay grade? I don't think we have much choice here. That's an Inquisitor, and a Bishop, and an Archmage. There's a moment of awkward, uncomfortable silence in the jail cells. And eventually, Scarlet speaks up and says, "Captain, I think I got him on the ropes. I think I can do it. You know what? What if we just bite our tongues off then? We can't talk." Maybe. Can't they read minds? Oh yeah, but how much? What if I just keep singing a really annoying song in my head and I never stop and my tongue's cut out? Like, won't that drive them as mad as it'll drive me? How long
Is
can
the
we keep
wizard
that
like
up
informing
for?
of us of this? Is it happening or no?
Yes, I would almost certainly be like relaying. Like, I wouldn't be like repeating everything they're saying, but I would be saying like.
Sure, but like they're
the
talking
name-
about biting their tongues off. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then the paladin is gonna go down there and probably have a talk with them. Chain them up, make sure they can't hurt themselves, and let them know that the jig is up and we know everything, and we can help them.
Okay. You can head down the stairs. They'll hear the jail cells opening, or the cells opening, the boots on the
Not
floor.
slowly. This would be probably like quickly.
Right. Yeah, so they'll hear
Because they were talking about killing each other, then now they're talking about,
Yeah, they'll hear the cell open at the top of the stairs and the quick, steel boots of the paladin coming down the stairs, and they'll shut the fuck up real fast as the paladin grabs the keys from the guards who are having lunch down the hallway and opens the cell, chains them to the wall so they can't use their hands for anything. You can't ever stop them from biting their tongues off unless you
no, I can't.
put a leather strap.
I'm not going to
shutting
chain
their
them to the
jaw.
walls as long as I'm here, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to... We heard everything you were saying through our wizard's magic, and I want you to know that we feel for you and we can help your families. But you're going to need to work with us in all ways.
They look at you. What do you mean? Says Scarlet.
I'll recount like a little bit of the conversation. I decided to come down here when I heard that you were considering to bite your tongues off.
Jorah kicks Scarlet. Told you they had strong magics. Well, you got us. Yeah, I know Captain John personally, but my family. You need to save my family before Nil. Oh my God, you can't imagine the horrors of Nilrum the Maleficent.
I've heard of him. I thought it was Nilrum the... Fuck, what was the other word? Not the Maleficent, but the
Malevolent?
Malevolent?
The
The
bloodthirsty?
malevolent?
The violence incarnate?
Yeah,
my
I thought that he was called Nilrum the Magnificent.
She shudders. He looked into that man's eyes. You'd know there's nothing magnificent about him.
I assume me and Archie, or me and not Archie, me and the bishop are in the room.
Yeah, you can come down in, no problem.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Well, what can we do for them? Can we remove their families from the Outer Rim? In order for, in exchange? I don't know. What do you think? They go about their business? And they work for us?
I'll kind of like think deeply for a moment and say,
Yeah, me too.
delicate business. These people have obviously worked against the White Prince, but it does not seem like they did it of their own free will. They did not choose to disobey, and if you do not choose to disobey a rule, have you really broken it?
I don't think they had a choice.
We didn't.
Seems like they were.
Scarlet breaking down pretty quickly. We didn't. Oh my god, they threatened us with all sorts of things. They slaughtered an entire contingent of guardians and a cleric right before our eyes. They set fire to. They were on the Badlands in the middle of Moncher. They're monsters. You have no idea the things that they've done. There's some dark thing that they worship that comes out of the ocean and drags people into their depths. It's a horrible, horrible fate. Please get us
Does
out of
this
this.
key into me as a paladin at all? Have I ever heard anything about this?
Dark things in the oceans dragging people to their deaths is an old sailor's tale, you know, and there
Yeah.
was that dragon around for a while. And there's always bullshit on the seas.
Yeah.
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 I'll
I
get
just put
a,
my hand on. I just put my hand on their shoulder. Shh, it's okay. You're getting hysterical. Stay with us.
Do I know about the dragon that's on the loose now or no?
Yes. Yes, you are absolutely keenly aware of the return of Telemachy, who was impressed upon you these last winter festivals. There is a plan the White Prince has. You don't know it yet. He hasn't told the bishops
Yeah.
or anyone else, but there is a plan to deal with the dragon, and there is a plan to deal with the Crimson Fists. You know the Crimson Fist plan, but we'll talk about that later. Unless it's important now.
I think it might be important now, depending on how we're gonna have these people work for us.
Yeah, we're going to take the HMS Lawbringer and the HMS Thundertoss, and one of them's going to park at an island on the Outer Rim, and the other's going to go with the current and search island by island until we find them and kill them. Or, actually arrest them if possible and drag them into prisons. But it'll be great, and they won't be able to escape because we'll have all the islands locked down, and we'll just take our time and go nice and slowly and search each and every island. And it might take 120 days, might take a year to search the Outer Rim because there's a lot of islands, a lot of places to hide. But there ain't nowhere that they're gonna go, and eventually we'll search them all.
Good. How do you think they could be of use?
well, I would estimate that the best course of action would be to attempt to bring their families from the Outer Rim into the Central Rim, take their testimony, any information they have on the Crimson Fists and the Dark Heretic, and of course Niram, the Maleficent, whatever they call him. Information is their most useful commodity for us, and in exchange, we will protect their families, and if they ever make it back, once their families are safe, their lives will be safe as well. I think I'd have to double check the laws to see what the precedent is here, and I might even have to write to the prince himself or have an audience. But this seems within our power and of a reasonable course of action.
I can't get it out of my head what they said about the dark creature that they worship. I mean, I know there's tales about this all over the Ardennes, but did you see their eyes when they said that? They were terrified.
Probably talking about the Telemachy who's been released recently.
Or some sort
Yeah.
of magic. I have a spell.
Is this in front of them, or is this to the side, away from them?
Well, in front
This is
of them, I
away
don't
from
think they
them.
moved at all. Oh, okay.
Oh, I would not be saying this in front of them.
Yeah. Okay. So you've stepped away.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'll describe the spell that I have, Everard's Black Tentacles, and I'll say they're probably just thinking of some sort of advanced magic.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Mm.
Would make sense. Yeah. 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 Bringing in their family seems like the right course of action here.
Should be pretty easy for us.
Yeah.
The biggest danger. Well, do we just detain them here forever now that we have proof? Do we let them go back out to operate as double agents while we save their families? Or the worry is that I don't know.
We know.
I don't know
do we
what the
know that-
correct course of action is.
Do we know that clerics are looking for Nilrim as well?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay, hold on.
Because Ajora was the person who set him on the way.
Yes, there has been an emissary from some people afar. You didn't hear it yourself. It was a footnote in a meeting that there are some clerics who are searching for a man named Nilrim, but you don't have. Yeah, actually, that would be connected. There are some clerics out there from faraway lands that are looking for these pirates as well, but it's just noted as like they're wanted in other places, and there are other people looking to bring them to justice. But that's pretty much all you would have heard.
So,
Would I be interested enough to ask about it here, or no?
To whom or what? I don't understand.
Just like, would that come in my mind to ask? Like, have you heard about? Are the clerics looking for the same man that you talk of, the Nilrim person?
Yeah.
What are they
that's,
looking
that's
for?
reasonable.
Yeah, I'll recant that then.
Jorah will shake her head. I too have heard rumors of these clerics. I've found their wanted posters. I brought them to Sulphur Island, which is the sanctuary for the Crimson Fists. But I don't know what the clerics want. I just know that they've been searching for them. Last I heard,
So
the
you have a
clerics were in
way-
the inner ring.
You have a way in to their sanctuary without alerting any of them, yes?
They know my face.
What if we send a detachment for recompense? We send a detachment of our soldiers and me. Maybe even I'll point to the archwizard with me. And we set up a trap. The Crimson Fist will come back, yes?
To Sulphur Island?
Hang on.
Yeah, they've left a whole bunch of people. They've made a base there. They've got some people in charge, but they themselves always, they come back and then they go away and they loot and pillage and then they come back. I don't know when. It could be a while.
Then it probably couldn't be us. We're stationed here. But I'm sure we could send a strong detachment of soldiers, maybe even lower people. I look to the Baron. Would that be suitable?
I think
To
it means
the Baron?
bishop.
Did you say bishop?
The Bishop, yeah, sorry.
It's you, Archie.
You Pokemon
Sorry,
challenges.
I was
Yeah,
omega zoned out. Can you repeat that last sentence, please?
I am suggesting a detachment of soldiers under Ajora's ship to go to Sulphur Island and wait for them and do like an ambush.
I think that's our best end to catch them. I think we should do it.
Now, the White Prince already does have a plan to search all the islands for the Crimson Fists themselves.
Yeah.
If you're going to send a detachment to conquer Sulphur Island, do you need to get permission to do this? Does this interfere with the White Prince's plan?
I think
How about we
this is
just
getting to a
inform
point.
the
Yeah,
White
I think it's
Prince
getting
that-
to a point where we have enough information, enough concrete stuff, and enough new information that we should probably get the White Prince involved.
Yeah,
I'm
how
gonna-
do we contact the White Prince?
Well,
Probably through me somehow, right?
yeah, there's a combination of ways. You could just sail to his island yourself, or you could use Reflecting Pool with Project Self to have your wizard show up in an appropriate place and deliver a message in incorporeal form.
We should probably
think-
do that. I don't think this is
The
like, important
MS
enough to like show up in person. Right?
The MS Lawbringer is already on its way. It hasn't chosen an island yet. I think that should be stationed at Sulphur Island if it's their home base. The other ship can chase them around the outer the Outer Rim,
Mm-hmm.
but we will cut off at least their home base completely from them and support. And we should probably deal with anyone who's on Sulphur Island then as criminals.
These are all
Of
good
course,
ideas.
it's up to the White Prince. Yep.
So that's your recommendation to the White Prince, is use Sulphur Island as the main staging ground where the Thunder Toss will stay while the Lawbringer searches the rest of the islands one by one.
Yeah.
And what is to become of these traders, these people who work with pirates, who have, by their own admission, been on their own ship, away from the pirates and out of the threat of danger, and continued to voluntarily work with them the entire time? They could have come and picked up their own families when the pirates weren't around and just sailed them to the Midlands and confessed all their crimes. And they didn't. They chose willingly to hang out on the Outer Rim and profit from the chaos. And yet, it is also they are your most powerful weapon, or your greatest tool, leading you to the Crimson Fists. What is to be done with these unlawful people?
I'll make the argument that they are like the children that are sanctioned wizards. They are dangerous and unruly, and yet useful.
I think that we give them a way to contact us, and we let them go, and they report on all of their dealings with the Crimson Fist from now on, directly to one of us. It'll help us keep tabs. It might even help the Lawbringer find them in the coming weeks, months.
We should have an agent on the ship if we're going to do that.
Yeah. We can install a permanent agent on the ship.
And how would this agent contact you? Distance communication magic is difficult, rare, and expensive, and also easily spotted. You know, if there's a permanent magical item, all it takes is to detect magic to see right through the holes of the ship to find that thing. How do you communicate with your agent on their boat?
I suppose it would depend upon how developed the White Prince's spying operations are. Like, I would imagine in this world, he would potentially have like a discrete communication device and like a LED, like a cigarette holder or something. Like, if depending on how big the item that has to be that is used to communicate and so on. So it really, how we do this kind of depends on what the infrastructure of the world is for espionage.
Right, so there might be one or two of those objects around, but there would only be one or two in the entire kingdom, and they'd be extremely powerful. You know, that's an asset in and of itself that might be dangerous to risk. If it falls into the hands of the enemy, it'd be super fucking useful for them, and it would cripple your ability to do things. The White Prince would have to approve the use of any magical items, especially of that power, to be deployed. But you could make that recommendation. It's just, you only have so many high-level magic items.
But what is the current threat to our nation? The biggest threat? It's probably this, and now we have a spy ship who's in their good graces, willing to work with us. I think that magic item, I personally think that magic item probably should be recommended.
It probably has a permanent beacon on it as well.
Oh yes.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yes, all magic items have permanent beacons, but the you know, if you can block it with detect magic, you can block it with whatever it is that blocks the detect magic would block the beacon. And if they find out that if they get it in their possession, they could probably find a way to block the beacon too, maybe.
Here's a wild question. Could you permanently beacon an item and then have it contained in a small lead chest, and then you open the chest and close the chest in a sequence to communicate messages as the beacon turns on and off?
Only if somebody is actively looking for the beacon at that point in time, then maybe you might be able to do that. But it would require precise timings over vast distances, which you just can't do since there's no like blocks.
There are.
Well, I suppose you could say. Well, I mean, it depends on how vast the distances are between the islands, because you could say, oh, from the time the sun touches the horizon to the time the sun finishes going below the horizon, that is when you're going to be communicating with this device, and that should be relatively synchronized across a large geographic area.
That might work.
I would imagine that this wouldn't be like a super developed way of communicating. It would almost be like semaphore or flags, like on ship flags.
Right, so locate beacon lasts 1 round per level, so you'd have like a 5-minute period of time, 5 to 6 minute, depending on the wizard casting it. You, for example, would have 8 minutes in which this would work. So you'd need an 8-minute window, which the sun setting is a pretty decent 8-minute window. The amount of information you could get across would essentially be, detectable or non-detectable once in those 8 minutes. So you could get 8 bits of information, or 8, on or offs in that time period. So there's not a lot of information that could be passed. You couldn't do a full conversation, but you could do a couple of prearranged signals.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, that might be something that they might have considered as a cheap tracking thing, rather than just putting a beacon on a ship. You would have like 3 blinks means business as usual, or 4 blinks means blah blah.
Right.
And you could like synchronize things.
You could synchronize some amount of information. That could work. A great idea, Archmage.
My question is, so I would imagine that a super good magical item that's good at communicating across long distances is super expensive. However, having a team of clerics doing locate beacon at nighttime is probably a lot more within budget.
Perhaps, yeah. The people who can cast locate beacon need to be 5th level wizards, of which there's not that many around. There are like 7 8th level wizards, and then maybe another 20 or so 5th level wizards, maybe 25, but they all have different jobs and they're all sort of scattered all over the place. So you could gather a few of them to specifically do this. The magic item creation process is locked behind like 16th level characters, and so there's no more magic items being created at this time in the world, especially in this area.
So they are not creating magic items anywhere in the Dardan.
Right. There are pretty much no more magic items being created aside from like consumables, scrolls, and potions. Pretty much anywhere in the world at this point. In this age of the world, this age of iron, the creation process for magical items has more or less come to an end. There might be like some fantastical mages far off, but you wouldn't know about that here.
Okay, so I think that angle of attack is maybe faltered. What about just normal mundane like scrying, or I think there's like spells like time pool, all those kind of things. What sort of options would I have available to do that kind of stuff? Like could I clairvoyance to a boat? Does that have a range? Actually?
Clairvoyance needs a fixed location. So a boat is always on the move. You could say like my bedroom, in an area that you already know and you're very familiar with, and you can like draw a map to. You could always clairvoyance your bedroom, but on a boat, like a boat is always in a different place, and so it's not like a fixed.
So you can't
location.
clairvoyance the captain's quarters of a ship.
No, but if you like see a ship, you could clairvoyance like I want to see just beyond that side of the hull, and then you could look into that. If the ship is moving, your viewpoint is fixed, and so then like the ship would move out of it very quickly. But if it's like
now
docked,
I'm going to connect. I'm going to connect. What if I detected a beacon? Could I clairvoyance around the beacon? Damn. Okay, never mind. So I'll explain. I'll go through that whole thought process with my friends and be like, I don't have a solid solution yet. What do you guys think?
Well, there are those magical items for communication, correct? Those
There
exist.
might be. I'm trying to think of what you might have on hand. Generally speaking, long distance magical communication is locked behind 5th level spells.
Yeah.
Sending is the first spell that you can get that allows you to communicate over a distance more than visible range, very reliably.
Are there
there
pigeons?
is excuse me.
Are there carrier pigeons here? Or
Yeah,
no?
there are birds that can do that, but again, the birds go between fixed locations.
Fixed to
They
fixed,
return to a spot that they know intimately. There's a combination of 4th level spells that will allow you to do this. A crystal ball will help you do this, but it'll show you something, but it doesn't allow both way communication. Like you could crystal ball, your mom, and it would find her wherever she is. So you could crystal ball to someone who is maybe like writing something on the ground, and then you wouldn't have to give up. Yeah, does one of you have magic mirror? Is that a spell in one of your possessions?
I
Not
don't
the-
think so.
Mine.
Ooh.
What about two wizards crystal balling each other? Could they then use like hand signals to communicate?
You might be able to find a creative method. Like you both crystal ball each other, and then you have an assistant in the room who writes messages for you. Might be able to work. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to talk, but you would be able to like write messages in sand or something, and then wipe it away and write another message.
Yeah, or even just like hold up notes. Like, here's today's report. I read the
here it
report
is.
and then take memory and then write it down.
The Bishop of Port Prince has a spell called Reflecting Pool, which essentially functions like a crystal ball for 1 round per level.
There you go.
So if you know someone intimately, like this is a person with which you're deeply familiar, Bishop, you could Reflecting Pool on them. And you get... Let's see, it's a 4th level spell, so you can cast 2 of them per day, or like it would take one of your 2 spell slots to cast it. I don't know how many spells you want to keep and how often you want to
Say
check
you'll
in.
communicate on Wednesdays and Fridays or whatever. And then those days you'll take the 4th level spell slot.
Yeah, that seems correct.
Check in on what's going on, if there's any update.
Okay, so the plan is that you would... Oh, wow, it's got a 2-hour casting time, right? So it's a big deal to cast this spell. It's a time-consuming endeavor. So twice a week, you will scry on this agent that you have sent in with the Jorah right when the sun sets, and they will write messages in the sand, in like a sandboard or something to you, and you will read them.
I think this spell specifically says like written text is almost always too hazy to read, so that would be hard. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Makes sense. Fuck.
The image is nearly always hazy enough to prevent the reading of script of any type.
Okay.
Is what it says right before the end.
Nice. Well done, 2nd edition. Yeah, a lot of the spells will go out of their way to make it difficult to do instant communications because it's just such a powerful tool. So instant communication might not work, but you could Reflecting Pool like thumbs up, thumbs down. You could do like a couple of signs, some very, very basic, like let's go, let's not go.
I think that instead, anytime they hit an island, they should just send a carrier pigeon if something is an issue.
That means they're gonna have to carry a whole boat full of carrier pigeons.
Do islands not have their own carrier pigeons to talk to island?
With carrier pigeons, you would I would train carrier pigeons to come to my house, and then I would give you a carrier pigeon, and then your carrier pigeon would just come to my house. They don't follow a command. So you would have to leave Port Prince with 40 carrier pigeons, and then you could send them back to Port Prince, but they couldn't go to any other location.
It would be a good idea, but if they ever be like, why do you guys have 30 carrier pigeons? Like, what the fuck? What's up with that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We could just. Oh, this is a little bit of a wrinkle here. Trying to come up with a good way to keep track of these guys.
Yeah. Logistics, baby.
Do we have any more ideas? Do we just go for a very basic, deep undercover agent who passes messages to loyalists on islands when they pass through? Sort of low tech espionage rather than magical espionage.
Whenever they see something and then get to an island that is safe, they can then pass the message to someone there to pass to Port Prince.
They would also almost definitely be carrying a leaded beacon that they could
Attempt.
say they got separated from their boat, or they thought it was necessary to, like, say they're with. So we give them like a couple of rules, like, oh, you get separated from your crew, you get lost from the boat, you open the lead thing, your beacon will be activated, stay alive until we send a crew to collect you, or turn it on when you're with the Crimson Fists.
Yeah.
So if the beacon is active, it means send reinforcements to my position.
Yes.
Wow.
So that would be like the low tech version of the espionage. And I'll explain that idea. I'll explain that idea to the group. And
That's good.
Yeah.
If the beacon's
Simple,
on, they
practical.
need help. They're near the Crimson Fists, and we'll know at least their last known location.
yes, which will allow us to better coordinate any response fleets that we may want to deploy. I think we should also gather as much information as we can from these prisoners and relay it to the White Prince via message. Every single thing that we can gather from them could be useful information to our Lord.
Yeah.
Any concerns about someone trying to hide a lead-covered box?
It depends on how big of an item a beacon can be.
It can be as small as a coin.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with having a lead box on the ship. It's the Ajora knows that this person's going to be working for them.
So you're not
The
going to
only
give
person
Ajora
they're
the
ever-
box. You're still going to put this with somebody else. You don't trust her enough to.
We definitely want our own agent. We
Yeah, we
may
want our
give.
own
What we might do is give Ajora a box, but not tell her that our agent has a box, so they both have one.
Ooh, sneaky.
Smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
They both have boxes, and inside these
beacon on
boxes are separate coins or something that are beaconed.
Yeah, and
And-
then every regular interval, say sundown, we would have. Wait, is locate beacon? Oh, it's a
I think it's a third
level
spell?
3 spell. So yeah, I would suppose the message would go out to wizards that like, oh, we would have a rotation. It's like your night tonight, you're going to be checking for the beacon, and then that information would be collated and messaged to some central informational hub. So
Right.
that way we
So
can
that would be-
coordinate across multiple items.
That would be you
Islands.
would be in charge of this because you're the one conducting this operation. You will have at least a couple of apprentices under your command, and there's probably another mage here who would work. I'm sorry, you would need the ranks for wizards are apprentice are levels 1 and 2, mage is levels 3 and 4, masters are levels 5 and 6, and archmages are levels 7 and 8. So you would need a master to be able to cast the spell with you. And there's probably one other master mage on this island with you. If you wanted, you could maybe call in a master mage from somewhere else, from some other duty. The bishop has the power to do that. But the number of people capable of doing this are mostly going to be you and one other wizard.
Yeah, I would probably want to have someone on rotation, just so it's not a duty that I have to do every single day. So we would probably do a week on of doing it and a week on of them doing it. So that kind of
Perfect.
a distributed task.
Excellent.
But yeah, that's like the basic plan that I've come up with. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything or modify it.
Seems good. Let's go with that.
Awesome. Yep.
So
Sounds great.
if you got each of these beacons is going to have its own unique signature. So to check in on one beacon is one spell casting. To check in on two beacons is two castings of the spell. So you'll be confining a lot of your third level spell powers to this task when you are when it's your turn. I think you have three third level spell slots, and your mage master will have 2 third level spell slots. So this will be, dedicating all of their third level spells, which are more or less the same as yours, to this project. Is that a worthy use of someone's time?
Well, I probably wouldn't commission it myself, but I would make the request to the bishop and potentially the White Prince. I would say, this is the request for resources that I've made. I think it would be good to have one of our master wizards dedicated to this, gathering this information
Mhm.
and making sure that we but I would think that, but personally, I would think that it's kind of like a little bit beneath me. Like, I'm an archmage, so I shouldn't be I shouldn't be like checking on messages, you know.
Right. Bishop.
Get a master to do it.
Yeah, Bishop Cypress. Are you willing to have one of your master mages dedicated to the tracking of these agents on the sea? Pokemon challenges.
Geek Chow. Do you want to have one
Yes.
of your master mages dedicated to tracking the beacon? on the
Yeah.
sea?
Fuck. How many, like, how... No, this seems pretty important. I would probably do this, even if it's, like, a pretty scarce resource, no?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I mean, these are the Crimson Fists.
Yeah, it's like, this is, like, the most important thing that's going on in, like, my job right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After all, it
No,
is
for sure.
the Outer Ring and
Yep.
the Midlands that are under your control that have been falling
Yep.
apart. Okay.
Yep.
So you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll dedicate all the resources I can to stopping these guys, for sure.
Absolutely. So now you got to just tell Ajora and Scarlet of their new task, and at the same time promise to get their families free, or are you only going to free their families
Yeah.
after it's done? What's the deal?
We should free their families, right? It's not that hard.
And is it just their families, or is it going to be the families of every sailor on the ship? A lot of people. It's
Well,
a lot of
I guess we'll
money.
ask them. What did Nilrim ask to? What did Nilrim threaten?
Norm's a terrifying man. Carnage in his eyes. He doesn't say much. He lets you know that you'll pay the price if you... I don't know if he's going to... he'd kill my family, or torture them, or sacrifice them to some dark god, or to just his own sick pleasure.
What do you mean, dark god?
Or whispers of something that lies beneath. They never mention what it is exactly, but they always say, the drowned one, or the one underneath, or the one beneath the waves, or...
The dragon Telemachy. Have you ever heard of him?
We all know the legends of Telemachy. Rumor has it that he's been freed from the mountain that he once resided within. I expect
I'm
that's the
guessing
work
they
of the Crimson
serve
Fists.
him.
But to answer your first question, I don't know if you'd come after what the extent of Nilrum's evil is, but it's there.
Understood. We will have your family extradited and brought to the Midlands to here. Does that please you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea the weight, the burden of this thing that's been on me for years now.
Years? Has it been years?
2 years, I think?
Jesus fuck, we're getting old. I didn't know this.
Yep. Insane.
What year is it right now?
1515.
What year is Tombs of Scorian? They do it? Did they kill the dragon?
Any news from Solemn, good man?
Yeah. No, Arcadia. What news
Or
is from
Arcadia.
Arcadia, good sir? The Dracissians won the war. Good.
I have to look it up. I can't remember. I should know this.
No, it's fine. It's not gonna matter in
Okay.
any way, shape,
Yeah.
or form. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And your first mate, his family should be fine. Did Nilrim have any direct dealings with him, or are you the point woman?
I'm the captain. I'm in charge. I'm the one with which all the deals were made and enforced. She looks over to him, but I don't know. Maybe.
Did you ever talk to any of the Crimson Fists, first mate?
Aye, of course I did. I've talked with them and their minions.
Did they threaten your life / your parents' life, your family's life specifically?
Not specifically.
Then
Your
there
Grace.
you have it. You have nothing to worry about.
They're just large general threats to everything.
We don't
What?
have the resources to go and get every single man, woman, and child, and a part of each of your families off of your ship. The captain had a specific threat given to them, and that is the specific threat that we will deal with. Or we can deal with the lies and that you've told us here. I'm sure that the bishop can be judge, jury, and executioner for the day. Would you like that?
Shake their heads. No.
Perfect then. It's settled. You work for the White Prince now.
All right. They swallow. They take their job. They'll take on a new sailor in this port. We'll leave that to in between sessions and episodes. And I think that's actually going to wrap us up for today. It's a short session, just about
Alright.
2 hours here. But we will be back
that's good.
next week with a full-fledged Tides of Death episode. And
Should I
we'll
read the
catch up with them.
questions now, or should I wait for them for Nick to be back?
Let's do them now. If there's one that's Nick specific, we'll rope him in then. But
Yeah.
let's get our questions. done.
Here's a question for you. For Koibu, have any of the gods been summoned by the spell Spirit of Power? Have we seen any of the results or fallout from it? I don't really know what that spell
Power.
is.
No, we've never seen Spirit of Power used in any campaign. It's a 7th level cleric spell. I think you need to be level 15 or 16 to cast that.
I think
and we-
14.
yeah, maybe it's 14. I just haven't had any 14th level clerics except for this one over here.
Yeah, I don't have that spell either.
No, I haven't seen it
Um,
then.
I asked the one about the rumors of the Dardannes caused the maelstrom. Yep. Question for the players. Last week, John Brophy worried about the gods conspiring to destroy the colony on Sulphur Island. Are you worried about it? What about an attack from the White Prince now that he is consolidating his forces? Is Sulphur Island even all that important to you anymore? Now that you have several islands under your control? I think we like Sulphur Island, at least I do, as like a staging point, and like a point of contact for the other islands. It's nice to be able to go there and know that no one's trying to kill you and murder you. It's nice to know that you're the murderer on the island, not the other way around. What about you guys? Do you like Sulphur Island still or no?
Yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's. I just think I like the representation of how much our like influence grows.
Okay.
For me, I don't really mind Sulphur Island. It doesn't really figure into my plans except like as a staging point of defiance. Like, haha, look, we took back the place you destroyed. Blah blah blah. You know,
Yeah.
like, look,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you know, we're turning it against you. Your greatest triumph is being used against you.
Here's another for Neal. Is the White Prince a necromancer the way Malsifer is a necromancer?
What? No, the White Prince is a devout cleric of Astaire. He is a wonderful person who helps bring order to the chaos and stops the mad wizards from running and burning things. And why would you think he's a necromancer in any way, shape, or form? Just because we've got these people who have sworn their undying lives, to serve him doesn't mean he's a necromancer. That's just a ridiculous fan theory that holds no weight or water whatsoever in any way, shape, or form.
Someone had one for me. Can Nilrim cast Fork Lightning? No, just lightning. Question for Neal. Are there rumors in the Dardannes of the cause of the maelstrom? For example, do lay people think the area was punished by the gods? It's just a freakish natural phenomenon, etc. In the same line of questioning, are there tales of the Dardannes without the storm, or has it been around for all of known history?
The storm in the Dardannes comes from the end of the Age of Might. There are many ages in the world. We are currently in the Age of Iron. The one right before us was the Age of Might. And that border between the two of them is when a lot of things changed in the world. The gods sort of like reshaped some continents, sort of broke apart some islands. The Dardannes was a completely different area. And when the gods ripped apart the world at the end of the Age of Might, the islands popped up and the maelstrom occurred. And importantly, resurrection was stripped from the land. A whole bunch of super high level clerics just vanished from the world. The gods have essentially stopped appearing in person on the world since the Age of Might. And they've all sort of taken a step back. And similarly, at the end of Age of Might, all of the like organizations of magic begin to fall apart. There used to be like wide reaching schools of magic that worked together and had towers that were built for all people to use, where you could easily teleport to and from, and big libraries. The wizard airship is like the last remaining remnant of that sort of magical organization, in the known world at the time. So the people of the world believe that the cataclysmic events that happened at the end of the Age of Might are what brought around the Maelstrom and the Dardanelles, and that like swirling whirlpool and all permanent storm is sort of thought of as like the anger of the gods made manifest. It's not, it has nothing to do with Malchus. The big swirl sort of looks like his symbol, but it's just a coincidence. Whirlpools make that, storms make that naturally. He's sort of a chaotic god, so it makes sense that he like accidentally overlaps with this. But it's not Malchus, because it's the heart of Astaire and order and law and things going well. And so the interpretation is it's the physical manifestation of the god's anger when people were abusing resurrection and doing terrible things in their name.
And then the last question, what are some crazy conspiracy theories your character believes or have heard and find plausible? Are there any conspiracy theories that go around, I guess, the land, Koibu? Any good ones that,
Well, the problem is if I tell you it's a conspiracy theory, you know not to believe in it. There are
Well,
all
that's not
sorts of.
true. Yeah, what are like what are some interesting rumors that get thrown around that the lay folk talk about?
I mean, you ever visit social media? People talk about the stupidest shit all the time. That someone thinks that the White Prince is a necromancer, which is ridiculous. Another person thinks the White Prince is actually like an elf or a half elf, and that's why he's got such a long lifespan. Other people think that um, Telemachy is really in control of everything, and he's just using the White Prince as a puppet, and he's like hanging out behind the scenes. Other rumors might include that, some of these islands that nobody lives in and establishments keep failing to, or cities and towns keep failing to establish themselves upon, aren't actually due to monsters. Is because it's the secret base of the White Prince, where he's developing like the next generation of clerics or wizards or items or war machines in order to spread the theocracy to the nearby islands.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Archie once heard that if you eat cheese 3 days in a row, your next ship will sink, so he never does that.
Hmm.
It's a good one. I think no one believed in the conspiracy theory of the Fountain of Youth, but I think he's lucked into it being true. He's not sure yet, so he's kind of just that's one that he truly believes is true and real.
Yeah, in Sale's hometown, there was a rumor that the local well was haunted by the soul of an evil witch, and kids used to dare each other to go up to it at night and stick their heads into it. And they say you could hear her cackling if you did it.
People believe in the winter gods, because the constellation of gods has, the four major ones, and there's 5 summer gods and 3 spring gods and 3 fall gods, and someone out there is like, well, there's supposed to be either 1 or 5 winter gods, but like they're
It
not
just
in the
seems weird
stars.
that you would just like overthink it, like, oh yeah, let's just not make the winter gods. We've made all the other ones.
Yeah, but I mean, chaos and death, when they come together, the summer gods are the
Yes.
gods between order and death. No,
Mhm.
life and order, life and creation are all the summer gods, and so the winter gods would be the gods between chaos and death, or made of chaos and death. And what would those even be? How could you
I
even
would
have
think
gods that are
probably
gods of
Rohi.
chaos and death?
I would assume Rohi's the god of I don't know.
Change.
Maybe change, something like that. But I definitely think that Atropos is the winter god of hunger. Um, Hunger and like lust. So I believe that. That's what I believe. Rohi, I'm
I'm
not too
telling you,
sure. Maybe
people on
change.
the internet believe the damnedest things, guys.
So
Guess so.
the winter gods kind of remind me just a little bit of like the gods of chaos from Warhammer. So I'd say Atropos could be like the Slaanesh equivalent, like pleasure and decadence and lustful feelings. And then you have Tzeentch, which is the god of change. So we just kind of like need to find which would be Rohi, and then we just need to find the god of war, and then the one of pestilence and decay. They're kind of like the horsemen. There might be even more though. You never know.
Well, people can't even decide how many winter gods there are. How could you possibly believe in any one of them?
I believe in all of them. All four
Yes.
at once.
Ridiculous.
All right, well, that's it for this session. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
And yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
Cheers, guys.